Hi, this is Jerry with Nerve Audio. Today I'm going to show you what's included in an Axon 24 interconnect kit. You get 4 Nerve Audio silver element RCAs, 2 black, 2 red insert plugs. They're all Axon 24 cable itself, and a piece of WBT silver solder. Next, we're going to show you how to properly terminate this cable. Here's a few of the tools you're going to need to properly terminate the cable. A good quality soldering iron with a medium tip, a small flathead jeweler screwdriver to set the set screw on the RCA and to help fan out the shielding. Good quality pair of wire strippers so you don't damage the wire when you're stripping it. Nice sharp utility blade to cut the PTFE jacket, and a pair of wire cutters to cut back some of the wire at the base of the cable. One more thing you'll need to assemble the cable is something to hold the RCA and the cable while you're soldering it. You can either use a small vise, a pair of helping hands, or a termination station like this. These make it real easy to put the cable together and keep the cable straight. There's also a latch here that holds the wire in place. If you have a chance to pick something like this up, this is what I recommend. First, you're going to need to strip back the PTFE jacket about 1/2 inch from the end of the cable. Take care not to cut too heavy into the cable in order to keep from damaging the shielding. Sharp knife works really good here, but just don't use too much pressure. You just want to barely cut that PTFE jacket. Once you scored it, you usually can grab it and peel it back and it'll split apart like such. Okay. Now, we've got the shielding here that needs to be kind of pushed back. By pushing it back, it expands it somewhat and gives it a little bit of distance from the 2 center conductors. Using a small screwdriver or a small spike, expand the shielding in order to get it to start unwinding away from the 2 conductors. Once you've got it kind of opened up in a little bit of a cone fashion, start breaking apart the braid by just combing them with this tool and basically getting them to separate and exposing the shielding to either side of the 2 center conductors. Once you've done that, you can kind of take what's exposed down to the base of the wire and start pulling it back, and with your fingernail just slightly pull back and give it a combing to where it kind of looks like that. Once that's been established, take the shield, give it a good twist in clockwise direction, and that's all you need to do with the shielding on the source end of the cable. Now, the destination end of the cable does not use the shielding because we lift the shield at the destination end. Next, what you want to do is take the black conductor. You want to strip it back to as close as down at the base of where it comes out of the cable, and take the jacket off of it there, so that'll allow it to be wrapped around Once you've stripped that off of there, go ahead and wrap it around the shielding in a clockwise fashion. Okay. Now, the white conductor, which is the positive conductor here, only needs to be stripped back about 1/8 inch. And that should do it for the source side of the cable. Now, on the destination end of the cable, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to strip it back about 1/2 inch. Again, making sure you don't cut too deep. Slightly score the PTFE with a sharp blade, and then get that PTFE to get the jacket to split apart. And once you get it to start splitting, you can usually pull it apart and pull it off the wire. If you take your time, you should be okay. Again, here we're going to push the shielding back to get it to expand. But since we're not going to use this shielding at the destination side of the connection, you're going to fan it out a little bit, get it away from the two center conductors, and then we're going to trim this off as close to the base as you can get. You want to take care not to cut your two center conductors while you do it. It's okay to come back and forth and maybe do a first pass and then come back and trim up to get a little closer to where the jacket starts. Now, you're left with the two conductors and the shield cut back. When you strip the black conductor, don't go as far back as you did on the source side. You want to come back and maybe leave about 1/8 of an inch, so that way it doesn't touch the shielding and it sits on its own like that. I give it a slight little twist just to keep the strands tight, and then again on the white conductor, 1/8 of an inch back. And there you have it. You've got the destination end here with no shield, ground, and the positive end. And at the source, you've got the positive and the ground and shield tied together. Next, we're going to show you how to pre-tin these and solder them to the silver element RCA. Okay, next step will be to insert the plastic sleeves on each of the cables so that way they go on before you tin the wires. Put the blacks together on one cable and then do the same thing for the red. The next thing you'll need to do is to pre-tin the wires themselves. That makes it easier to insert into the RCA and solder once you've assembled the cable to the RCA connector. Taking a small round object, create a small half-moon curve on the negative side of the wire, about 1/8 of an inch in diameter, and basically create this curved surface for you to be able to insert inside the RCA. Then you want to just lightly tin it, just to give it some rigidity. We go ahead and tin the tip of the positive center conductor, but leave that one straight. Again, we'll do that on the other end. Now this is the source end, which has the shield and the ground tied together. This is a lot thicker, so you want to make sure you keep it nice and tight and roll that, again, creating a small half moon like such, and then going in and tinning it just slightly, just to keep it rigid, and that way it keeps its shape when you put it inside the RCA. Tin the center conductor, and now you're ready to start assembling the cable to the RCA. Next, we need to prepare the silver element RCA for the assembly process. Unscrew the barrel and set that aside. You'll notice there is a set screw on top of the connector itself. Inside the connector is a small piece of plastic that keeps the set screw from unwinding itself in transit. Back this screw out and lightly push out the little plastic insert. You can put this aside. It will not be used in this assembly. Now your RCA is ready to be soldered. Here we have our termination station with our RCA connected. First, what you're going to do is pre-tin the center pin just lightly in order to basically get just a little bit of solder down in there. Not too much. You don't need to fill it up that much. It's just there to basically tin that area. The silver coating tins very easily, so you shouldn't have to put too much heat for too long to make that happen. Next, you're going to take your wire, and remember we had that half circle that we put in there. That's going to basically fit inside. Make sure your set screw is pulled out enough so it doesn't catch when you're going into it. But now what you want to do is get that wire inside, and you're going to basically attach the center conductor to the center pin, and then we'll work on the ground side being tied to the casing of the RCA. Okay. Now that that's done, the next thing we want to do is take the shield side, pull it through a little bit so you have it a little bit to work with, and what you want to do is you want to roll it back and get it to basically half moon around the edge of the RCA. This front edge right here is where you're going to basically flow the solder onto. Okay, so we're going to push that back a little bit and get that in there. Okay. Now, you'll see there is a solder flow valley or gusset, whatever you want to call it right here. That allows you to kind of push the wire back and forth. You want it sitting on this front ring as much as possible. Okay. Once you have it on the ring, take your iron and you're going to flow solder around that ring on the inside. Be careful not to add solder to the outside because the tolerance of the sleeve going back in over the RCA won't allow you to slide this past this point if there's solder on the outside. So all you want to do is you want to make sure you flow the solder on the inside of that, basically that little arch that's in there. Now once that's done, you should see that your half moon is now soldered underneath the arch in the front part of the body of the RCA connector. Next, we're going to add the sleeve to the RCA connector. Make sure your set screw is pulled back far enough to allow for the sleeve to slide in. Once you slide the sleeve in, bring it far forward as you can into this first opening of the arch. That's where you want to be, basically flush right there. Once you're flush with that opening, tighten your set screw down and make sure you go just a little bit below the surface, but not too far down. You just want to basically clear that area so when the sleeve goes on, there is clearance for it to slide in without touching the set screw. The last part of the assembly is assembling the main barrel sleeve over the main connector body. If you assemble the RCA correctly, the set screw will be countersunk enough to where this barrel should slide, the sleeve should slide over the barrel with relative ease without interference. If you have interference, take a look and see if you have solder sticking up or if the set screw is not properly countersunk. Don't force the threading. You'll damage the threads on the inside if you basically run resistance there. So if that's done properly, it should go on very easily. Give it a tight nudge at the end and it should be just fine. This is what your connectors should look like when properly done, and you're ready to hook them up to your audio system. Well, there you have it. You've just completed assembly of a high-quality pair of audio interconnects from Nerve Audio. The Axon 24 kits are available. Please click the link below for more information on purchasing these kits. Don't forget to check which side you're going to connect to your preamp. It's going to be the one with the shield and ground tied together. The destination side will go to your amplifier, has just the ground side, no shield. We hope you found this video informative, and thank you for watching.